Hello and welcome to the Heavenly Healing Hour with Madame Helene. Oh no, wait a minute, that's a different show, isn't it? Hello and welcome to the No Holds Barred Witchcraft podcast. Today we will be talking about possibly some chintzy psychics, but more specifically we're going to be talking about the film The Gift, which Paul mentioned. He mentioned it in that podcast, if you remember, Chris.
Yeah, we did, when we were talking about tarot with him.
Yes, I've gone away and I've watched it. Not bad film from 2000 something. So you're talking The Gift from the year Cate Blanchett from 2000, not the modern new something to do with a parcel or something. I don't really know. So psychics, right? Mundanes always say this. If you're a psychic, then how come you're not rich? Because you haven't predicted the numbers of the lottery and that. If you're a psychic, how come you can't see this or that? So, Chris, what's the answer to that question? Why aren't all these psychics? Why isn't Cate Blanchett from The Gift? Why is she a hillbilly living in a rundown little place in the middle of a swamp or something? Why isn't she in some mansion or something? Explain.
I can't believe you just dropped me in it like that. That was like ethically drop in as well. That wasn't like kind of your normal level. That was just like let's ruin Chris. Okay, I'm not even sure. I'm going to attempt to answer that one.
Okay. Shall I ask a different question?
No. The main reason
is you can answer it.
The main reason is because they're shit, which is why you said. Why you dropped me in it like that, because that's about the only way you can answer it. The other part...
McDonald's psychic.
Hashtag McDonald's psychic.
Was Cate Blanchett a McDonald's psychic because she did actually predict the... I won't ruin the film, but basically she's a psychic in it and she knows who killed someone. And she got up and she said, I think, is this a person? And it was. So she upped, you hear about you hear about psychics helping the police with murders and that.
Yeah.
There was an interesting scene where she got up in the middle of the court and the opposition, the lawyer said, okay, you're a psychic. She said, yes, I am. And he said, well, predict something for me. And she said, well, I can't. And that's what all the skeptics say, isn't it? They're like, come on, get up in a court and predict us something, and we'll see if it happens. Prove it. If you're a psychic, prove it. And a lot of them, they can't do it.
No. Well,
why is that?
There's a very simple reason for that, in the sense that, what do they say? Knowledge is power. And the fact that actually, as soon as you tell somebody they're going to do something, you're impacting their future. So the second you tell somebody, oh, you're going to get run over by a car, that automatically makes that person very, very cautious around cars. It's one of those things where it's cause and effect. So, and what people forget is what psychics tend to do, because they don't look from a fourth dimensional way of looking. They look at the future from a three-dimensional standpoint. And you can explain that.
They're rather two-dimensional. I think they're quite two-dimensional, personally.
Well, I suppose it is, because to them they look at it like it's a still. They look like it a still image, don't they? And say this is a snapshot. And because they look at it as a snapshot rather than actually, a storyline, and see all the individual parts that make that storyline happen, and all its interconnecting and I can't even say the word I wanted to say. Intricacies. That's the one. Is that they're only able to see that snapshot. So, because that then allows the person who is being spoken to by the reader to then think their way around and fill in the blanks, means they potentially change the storyline because of knowing one snapshot. So the problem with that is they're looking at a snapshot at that moment. So you're telling that person, that reader in that situation is telling the person, this is what's going to happen in an airy-fairy way, because they won't have specifics. It's very rare these days to find psychics that can do it in great detail. Which is why it's easy for somebody as a psychic to tell you about your past. That is fixed. It's happened. So from our standpoint, I'm just clarifying before Liam shouts at me, from our standpoint at looking at time in a linear fashion, from a third dimensional living, time is fixed. So what's happened in the past has already happened. So they can say that with great certainty. However, when they start to look forward, that's why it becomes airy-fairy. It's because they're not capable of standing outside of it, looking at a third or fourth dimension, or looking at the situation, seeing how it all connects to one another to explain why it happens that way. And you're not interjecting, which I thought you would have done by now.
Well, what happens in the past is the past. What happens on tour stays on tour, you know? So the problem is with the past is when she stands up and the police officers and that might ask a question like to these psychics and stuff, well, where's the dead body? Where's the little girl that got a pin shed, that got kidnapped? And the psychic says, she's next to a large body of water. That's not very helpful.
No. But
so why can't she say, well, here's the GPS coordinates, put in your sat nav, and this will be where the dead body of the girl is? Well, why can't they do that?
Obviously, with this particular one, you're talking about ESP, which is a visual snapshot, which means the image is all she will see, is a collection of images, is what she's capable of seeing, a collection of snapshots. So she doesn't know their context. She's not capable of looking at the body. What she's seeing is its surrounding tableau, shall we say, because she, Paul pulled this one up. So let's use tarot terms for him.
Tableau is a painting.
They can see, all they're looking at in that moment is a tableau, a painting as the structure, what's going on. So what she can see is there is, a body of water. She might, depending on how good she is how clear that image will be. And that's what a lot of these types of psychics are. So they're capable of seeing snapshots, but they never stretch that gift or exercise that gift to make it better. They just know they can do this much, so they do that much every time. And I think a lot of it's down to confidence. I don't think a lot of psychics have a lot of confidence in what their gift actually is and what it does. So they don't stretch and exercise that. Yeah, they don't stretch the muscle and make it do more. They go, oh well, I'm good at this, so I'll keep doing this.
Okay. So when the hillbilly hick, which is the husband of one of her clients, because she's told her client, you need to leave your husband because he's a baddie. Keanu Reeves, he's a bad seed. You need to leave him, right? And then she goes off and tells her husband, well, the psychic said you're a bad seed and I gotta leave you. And then the husband gets angry, stomps over to Cate Blanchett's house and beats her up. Why can't Cate Blanchett not know? Did the cards not say, well, don't answer the door? I mean, I was thinking when there was a big on the door, very rough and loud, that I wouldn't want to answer that door if someone was knocking on my door like that. She can't be a great psychic if she knows, if she's going to go and answer the door and then get a beaten up. It's not a good idea, surely. So why aren't the cards warning her about that happening? Because they say you can't read for yourself. Is that what it is? She can't read for herself?
I don't know. With that particular situation, that would be a bad movie, wouldn't it? If she just got up, looked at her cards, went, oh, I'm not answering that door, movie ends. That wouldn't be very good, would it?
No, but what would be a good film is if she saw what was really going on and manipulated the situation so that all these dodgy people she didn't like ended up in jail. So if it turned out that she was like the mastermind behind all of these events and things, that would make a good film, wouldn't it, listeners? If you had a psychic that looked like they were the victim, but actually they were orchestrating the whole thing using psychic ability. I mean, that might almost be like real life. then.
Yeah.
Because that's how I tend to work.
Yes, but most people don't work like you, Liam. So this is,
Well, they do say most people aren't sociopaths and manipulative. I suppose I am, which gives me the advantage because I'm the wolf in sheep's clothes.
But yeah, it's one of those things. Most psychics will, in the very beginning, learn this kind of on-off switch because they can't cope with it on all the time. So rather than put dampeners on or allow certain amounts in so that they can protect themselves, most people go, oh no, well I only on off when I'm doing readings for people, or switching the gift on in order to do certain things. And because they do this, they don't have access to it when they're not working. So she'd have had a knock at the door, and that part of the life she's in her mundane mode, and any good psychic worth their salt probably would have gone, something going on there, and you'd have thought her ESP would have kicked in. But I imagine, like most psychics of that kind of traditional ilk, they have the on-off switch, and therefore it's off at that point. So there's nothing stopping that happening to her.
Well, with psychic ability and psychic work, it varies because I don't think she gets her answers and that from spirit and stuff. So she hasn't got the voices in her head that are necessarily saying things, from what I remember. Whereas some psychics are more mediums, and other people use the cards, and then it's all very different. I mean, if it was a Fanny Cranach and she used, or even if it wasn't Fanny Cranach, even if Cate Blanchett, instead of using those ESP cards that have just got an X or a circle or a triangle or whatever drawn on them, not a lot of information there. It's not like the Tarot de Marseille. Can't get a lot of information out of that, surely. What if she just bought herself some of old Fanny Cranach's wisdom cards? And if she pulled one out like that one, what does that one say?
I sense a disloyal bastard.
Yeah, there we go. That tells you all the information you need to know, really, doesn't it?
But then equally, and not defending Cate Blanchett or these McDonald's psychics, how irritating would that be if every decision you made, you pulled a card? Because that's not a way to live, is it?
Well, I don't think necessarily you need to live your life by pulling a bunch of cards, but I do think that if someone's going to turn up at your house and try and kill you, the card should be telling you something, or they're up against you. I think maybe these cards don't like her thumbing through them all the time, so they thought, I know how we can get this bitch to leave us alone. We'll just let some man. We'll just not tell her about the man that's outside that's going to come in, knock on the door and beat her up. That's what we'll do, because I can't stand her. She's been bending my corners for years, that woman.
See, now that's touching on something very different. That's about saying whether or not the cards have any power of themselves.
So, do the cards mystical? Because, I mean, technically, if you go to animism, the cards are objects and therefore must have a soul, no?
No, not exactly.
No? Are you saying animism's not a thing?
I'm not saying animism's not a thing. I'm not saying...
Therefore, each card must have its own soul, and each card deck is like a family, no?
No.
No?
I don't consider them that way, no. You think like Yu-Gi-Oh! There is a spirit of the cards, is there?
Well, maybe in those Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards or Pokemon cards, I don't know. Is Squirtle really alive?
I'm sure there might be a tulpa of him out there somewhere, to be honest.
Probably. Pikachu. Well, people do, though. People do turn a lot of these things into actual spirits and stuff, don't they? I mean, the people worship Superman and that, don't they?
Yeah.
So...
But no, my point wasn't dismissing animism, because I use a lot of animism in my practice.
Well, so you are a user of all things.
You can't do that. How rude. How rude. I don't see how I deserve that, listeners. I really don't. Because I'm nothing but a nice person. I'm the nice one, remember?
Do you hear that
Do you want to
silence?
make...
Do you hear that silence? They're not agreeing with you.
No, all I heard was you drinking from your sippy cup.
Yeah, but they won't hear that because I'll edit that out, so you're going to look like an idiot now.
No.
Right, so back to this film, The Gift, right?
Okay.
How many, because she's obviously got limits to her psychic abilities, yeah?
Yeah.
What are the limits to psychic ability in general? Are there any? Or is it just the individual person? And if it is the individual person or people, then what is it that makes those limits? Is it just an innate ability, or is it just that it's their themselves, they limit themselves somehow? Talk a little bit about that.
So in my experience, you kind of got to, you know, it's possible for everybody. So as humans, and the capacity of our brain allows us as extrasensory, you know, it's how your outer spirits, spiritual bodies connect with your brain in your physical body, and allows you to feel certain other responses. You can look at other animals and see they don't need words because they, you know, like the Borg, share hive minds, some of them, and others communicate without actually the need for words. Obviously, humans, we need words because we like to lie to each other lots. That's why we developed language, so we could lie to each other. Anyway, with that aside, yeah, so to a certain extent, you're going to have a certain natural ability that is down to the fact that your brain has those parts of your cells unlocked and allows you to access those with ease. That's when people say, oh, they've got a gift. It just means that they happen to be born with some of those gifts already unlocked. It doesn't mean, like any other muscle, you know, you can keep working it. It will still based on what your makeup is to a certain extent, because just because you've got muscles like everybody else and you can go to the gym doesn't mean every single person can become Usain Bolt, does it?
But that's genetics, though, because there's limits. So if you're talking like fitness, athletics, and bodybuilding, then yeah, there's genetics that are at play. Yeah. So yeah, there are limits. But is that with psychic work? Are there limits there? Because we've never had anyone reach limits that we've trained. We've had professional psychics, and we've had people that have never seen a dead person. They've never felt anything, and we've seen them work on it and beat hands down the professional psychic that grew up as speaking to spirits and that. I've seen that happen because it's to a certain extent surely training, no?
Well, yes, it's training, but also the set that a lot of these psychics with natural ability stick to where they are in their natural ability. They don't develop. So it's easy for you to say, you know, you can beat them hands down because they're not trying. They've never developed, and they've got something that they're naturally good at, and they keep doing what they're naturally good at. So yeah, it's easy for some people, but what I'm saying is, what is the next level? Because we're talking about McDonald's psychic stuff, kind of predicting the future, that sort of stuff. That stuff's all easy.
Are you saying Cate Blanchett is a McDonald's psychic?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent.
But she's legit. I thought McDonald's psychics meant that they're faking it.
No, McDonald's psychics mean they're shit.
Okay,
they're fast food.
How do you define them as being crap then? Where's the level? Where's Chris's level of, okay, if you reach this level, you're no longer a McDonald's psychic? Explain to us about that. Where's your kind of, where do you get your little certificate to say, congratulations, you're now a proper psychic, you're not some little learner or McDonald's variety?
For me, it's detail.
Okay.
So rather than somebody going, you know, I can see a body of water, being able to go, I can see water and it's hot, or it's deep, or whatever, or it's surrounded by mountains, or you know, adding the specificity. I can't even speak today. Specifics. I give up, everybody. Yeah, the specifics of it, and able to be able to go to that nth. and actually should be able to note how long that is going to be worth, that information is of any worth. So, saying yes, it's there, but it's not going to be there for long, or it's on the move, and that's where I can currently see it. It's that level of detail that I feel is required for somebody to be able to say. Whereas, with what's different, say, for example, with the grand tableau method of way that Paul was showing us the other week, is being able to see the bigger picture. So not just that moment, but how it interacts with the other moments around it. So it's that, having that full picture with fine detail is what, for me, would, get you out of the McDonald's psychics bit. That doesn't mean you're a great psychic, it just means you're not a McDonald's psychic. A great psychic would not only be able to tell me what's going on in this life, but my future lives and my past lives all at once, and tell me that it's all complete bollocks. But you know what I mean? Like, that would be the difference for me. But then we limit psychic ability into the kind of divination, as most people do.
Getting information is what they limit it to, because that's what your average person wants. They want to know when their husband that walked out on them back in the 90s is going to come crawling back. That's what they want to know. They want to know whether their daughter who died in the car accident, whether she's with great-grandma and granddad and she's happy in the other life. That's what they want to know.
Yeah, boring, mundane shit.
I always say no out of principle. I always say no, she's at burning.
Whether she is or isn't, you just say that anyway.
I said, she's rather hot. It's
hot where she is.
She's sweating. She is sweating. She's a roasted. She's been turned around on one of those kebab skewers in another dimension in some kebab place.
With an apple in her mouth.
With an apple in her mouth, yeah. That's what I say. I watch their faces. I don't know if they cry from laughter or whether it's tears, but I get some sort of a reaction.
Yeah, no, I can imagine how that works. I just categorically refuse to read, because I hate that mundane shit. If you're wanting me to give you information, I expect you to be acting on it. So telling you that your daughter's not in that hell dimension she deserves to be in is not something that I really want to have to divulge to you, because why is that useful information? Other than to, get rid of some of the guilt of how you managed to put her there, because you weren't very supportive.
Okay, so say I am a decent psychic, right? Yeah, say I'm a decent psychic and I want to learn Reiki. So why am I going to the Centre of Excellence? Because I've noticed that a lot of professional psychics also seem to be Reiki masters and stuff, and like to parade their credentials of being a master Reiki practitioner, that they've graduated from the Centre of Excellence or some such thing. Why is it that if your psychic ability allows you to download information and ask and answer questions, why are you enrolling on a course in that? Why did you go and do that degree in applied mathematics and spend 10 grand a year on the education when you could have just got your tarot cards out and learn how to do mathematics from the tarot cards? In other words, why is it that so many of these psychics go to mundane sources for information instead of just asking the cards?
But then you know exactly why that is. To a certain extent, yes, you wouldn't go and get a degree of mathematics from your tarot cards. Of course, it's possible, providing you're able to receive downloads, I guess, from multiple lifetimes. I'm sure you could. But you wouldn't be able to take that to a job interview, would you? And that's what it comes down to, is people that are going to look to find somebody they want to see. They want credentials, don't they? And the fact is, there aren't any professional, vocational proofs already out there. So in the olden days, and the cunning folk, it would be, she learned from old Fanny Cranach, who learnt from old Fanny Jessie. You know what I mean? Like there'd be a lineage. People are used to in those days would be, you know, she's either so good you've got to go to her because she's the only option, or she's got this brilliant lineage. Why are you laughing at me like that?
Just thinking,
you know it's
one deck, two Fannies. Because
oh my
one
God.
passed her tarot card side to the other. It's like a similar video that I once accidentally happened across in school because someone emailed it to me. That wasn't called...
No, Liam. Just no, Liam. Liam, no.
Right, okay, so moving on swiftly then.
So that is I haven't finished my point. Go on, then. You're just talking shit.
Well, carry on talking then. It is a podcast. Talking's important on this. You can't just scowl at me for the whole episode. Only a couple of psychics will pick that up, but the rest of the people listening won't get anything from
it. But no, a lot of it's down to credentials, isn't it? Is the fact that obviously they want proof that they know how to do X, Y, and Z. And the only way for them to do that, the only places that are available are these shitty online things, or you've got another practitioner that's done it, but it's still got to be certified by one of these shitty colleges that have agreed to certify something that they don't necessarily believe in, because it makes money. So, you know, it just kind of feeds its own little loop, doesn't it? Whereas actually, you know, we're never going to produce a Thoth psychic development certificate, although it would make us lots of money, I imagine. You're not going to put your name to other people in that way, and because no real universities will do that, all you're stuck with is a centre of excellence.
So are you saying we should do a witchcraft diploma to rival the centre of excellence? That I learnt witchcraft off of the internet diploma. I'll do it. I could do something like that. You know they'd like it. Okay, so here's a question for you, right? So Cate Blanchett in this film, yeah? Imagine she happens across this podcast. I don't quite know what this is. This might be one of those Marvel Universes collide type situations because, of course, it's not real. But imagine she is a real, and we're also real in the Cate Blanchett The Gift film universe, and she happens across one of our podcasts, and she then enrolls in the Thoth Witchcraft Patreon and wants personal mentoring from you, because that's what we do on the Thoth Witchcraft mentoring. You get personal bespoke mentoring from us, whereby we teach you. We're almost out of time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly say to you, you got 1 minute. Cate Blanchett comes on the Patreon, she says, Chris, I want you to help me progress further. I use these ESP cards, and I could kind of see 1 or 2 pictures of people drowning in lakes and stuff. How do you help me progress further, Chris? You've got a minute. Go.
Okay. Well, first of all, we tell her to bin those.
Ooh.
Because they're shit. Might upgrade her to some Psi cards instead. See how she gets on with them. And then I'd start testing her. So quite like a scratch test, I'd start testing her with what she's capable of seeing, what she's capable of not, what energy she's capable of picking up on. And then I'd start schooling her through the ones that she's missing out on.
Well, okay, but if she's not got her ESP card, she can't do it apparently. So what do you do then? What do you do when she refuses?
She doesn't.
What do you do when she says, no, I'm not getting rid of my ESP cards. Granny gave me those. I need them. Like I need Muddly Toy to fall asleep at night.
I didn't say she needed to burn them like she did a bra. What I'm saying is that she needs... What I'm saying is she doesn't need to use them. I'm not saying physically destroy them. If they're grandma, she can keep them. But I really don't care for them. And actually, I think that would be one of the limiting factors that she's got. Right. Is that she is not exercising her actual
gifts. Well, we're out of time now, so goodbye everyone on the regular podcast.